The rusted hinges screamed in protest as Mrs. Chen struggled with her gate for the third time that morning. I watched from my porch, coffee growing cold in my hand, as the 78-year-old woman pushed and pulled, her thin shoulders trembling with effort. The gate had been broken for weeks, sagging like a tired old man who'd finally given up on standing straight. I'd seen her wrestle with it every single day, and every single day, I'd told myself I'd help tomorrow. Tomorrow when I had more time. Tomorrow when I wasn't so tired. Tomorrow when I'd finished my own endless list of problems. But watching her that morning, something cracked open inside my chest. Maybe it was the way the early light caught the silver in her hair, or maybe it was the determined set of her jaw despite the obvious pain in her arthritic hands. Whatever it was, I found myself setting down my coffee and walking across the lawn that separated our two houses. "Mrs. Chen," I called out. "Let me take a look at that gate for you." She turned, surprise blooming across her weathered face. We'd been neighbors for 2 years, exchanging polite waves and brief conversations about the weather, but nothing more. I was the guy who kept to himself, headphones always in, hurrying from car to house like I was running from something. Which, in a way, I suppose I was. Since the divorce, since losing my job, since my daughter stopped returning my calls, I'd become a ghost in my own life. "Oh, Michael, you don't have to do that," she protested, but there was hope in her eyes that made my throat tighten. "I want to," I said, and realized with a start that I meant it. The gate was worse than I'd thought. The wood had rotted through in places, the hinges were completely shot, and the latch had broken off entirely. This wasn't a quick fix. This was a full day's work, maybe more. I glanced at Mrs. Chen, ready to break the news gently, but she was looking at me with such gratitude that the words died on my lips. "I'll have it fixed by tomorrow," I heard myself say. Her smile could have powered the whole neighborhood. "You're such a good boy. When you're done, you deserve a little extra reward." I waved her off, embarrassed. "Really, it's no trouble." But it was trouble. I spent that entire day at the hardware store, draining what little remained in my checking account for wood, hinges, screws, and a new latch. My hands, soft from months of unemployment, blistered and bled as I worked through the afternoon and into the evening. My back screamed. My knees protested. But something strange happened as I measured and cut, sanded and drilled. The constant noise in my head, the endless loop of failures and regrets, started to quiet. Mrs. Chen brought me lemonade around 3. "You work so hard," she said, settling into a lawn chair she dragged out to supervise. "Your wife, she must be very proud." "Ex-wife," I corrected gently. And no, pride wasn't really her thing when it came to me. "Ah," she said, and something in that single syllable made me keep talking. I told her everything. About the company downsizing. About Sarah leaving and taking Emma across the country. About the job applications that went nowhere. About feeling like I was 42 years old and had nothing to show for it but a rented house and a life that had somehow slipped through my fingers. Mrs. Chen listened without judgment, occasionally nodding, her dark eyes full of understanding. When I finally ran out of words, she was quiet for a long moment. "You know," she said softly, "my husband died 5 years ago. Henry. We were married for 53 years. After he went, I thought I died too. I stopped cooking his favorite meals. Stopped tending the garden he loved. That gate broke, and I couldn't fix it because Henry always fixed things. Every time I fought with it, I was really fighting with the fact that he was gone." She paused, looking at the gate that was slowly taking shape under my hands. "But you know what I learned. Sometimes we need our things to break. Sometimes we need to struggle. Because that's when angels show up disguised as neighbors." Her words hit me like a physical thing. I wasn't an angel. I was barely holding myself together. But maybe that was the point. Maybe we're all just broken gates, waiting for someone to see us as worth fixing. I worked until the stars came out, my truck's headlights illuminating the final adjustments. When I finally swung the gate open and closed, smooth and silent on its new hinges, a sense of accomplishment flooded through me that I hadn't felt in months. Maybe years. The next morning, Mrs. Chen knocked on my door. She was holding a worn envelope, her hands shaking slightly as she held it out to me. "Your reward," she said. "Please, open it." Inside was $300 in cash and a handwritten note on flowered stationery. My vision blurred as I read it. Dear Michael, this is not payment for the gate. This is an investment. Mr. Rodriguez 2 streets over needs help building a wheelchair ramp for his son. Mrs. Patterson's deck is rotting. The community center needs someone to fix the playground equipment. I've told them all about you. You said you had nothing to show for your life, but I see something different. I see a man with skilled hands and a good heart. Sometimes we just need someone to believe in us first. Your friend, Susan Chen. The money was to buy supplies, I realized. She was giving me a purpose. A direction. A way back. I looked up at her, this woman I'd barely known, who'd seen something in me I couldn't see in myself. Mrs. Chen. Susan, she interrupted. Call me Susan. And don't thank me. Just promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll remember this feeling. The next time you see someone struggling, the next time you think tomorrow is good enough, remember that today is when angels show up. 3 months later, I had more work than I could handle. Word spread through the neighborhood, then beyond. But more than that, I had Emma back in my life. When I called to tell her about the gate, about Susan, about everything, she actually listened. That's the dad I remember, she'd whispered. I still have Susan's note, tucked in my wallet. I read it on hard days, of which there are still many. But I also have a new gate at the front of my own life now, one that swings wide open. All because a neighbor asked me to fix her gate and offered me a reward I didn't know I needed, the chance to fix myself. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness create the biggest transformations. Sometimes we're all just waiting for someone to see us. And sometimes, the gate we're really fixing was never made of wood at all.